Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Sim Racing Malta GT3 Casual Race, which is a practice race, of course, for the Sim Racing Malta main series, the GT3 Porsche 911 Cup, I think. So, I'm joined today by my co-commentator, Adrian Fagallo. And Adrian, tell us a bit about what this event is about.
As well said, hi everybody. As well said, this is a practice session for the practice race for the main championship we're going to hold next year, which actually the qualifications for this championship are ongoing now and they'll keep on going till the 7th out until January. This is a casual race, which is something that based on GT3 as said, and obviously in January we're going to have the Porsche Continental Cars Limited GT3 Cup.
Jolly good. So, of course, today it is only a practice race, so it doesn't count towards that specific championship. But still, it'll give us an opportunity to see who's quick and who isn't. We've had a practice race before in Sim Racing Malta, of course. We had a BTCC race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. But these cars should probably give us a closer indication as to who is going to be quick in the sort of Porsche Cup car style, because these are GT cars, much like the Porsche cars are. In fact, there are plenty of Porsches on the grid today. We have Menno Klont, Keith Camilleri, Daniel Samut, and Noel Attard's in the Mercedes, never mind. So we've got Menno Klont, Keith Camilleri, and Daniel Samut at the moment in the server in the Porsche, which will not be the same kind of Porsche as the one racing in the Sim Racing Malta Championship, but it's not really that far off. The lap times, especially at a track like Monza, are only really separated by about a second or two. So, really, whatever car they're going to be driving today, we should see a good indication of who's there. Anyway, the first few laps just coming in now. This is practice, of course, a 30-minute practice session for the before qualifying, and then, of course, we're going to get two races today. One of which will be a practice race. Well, one of which will be a standard practice race based on qualifying positions. The second race will be a reversed grid race, so they will start from reversed the reverse positions that they finished in the race before. So that means whoever finishes first in the first race will be put well down the order for race 2. But the two races, I believe, will both be 15 minutes to the end of the lap, and we should have a very interesting day of racing today. 15 laps, rather. I didn't need to say 15 minutes. 15 laps, and we have two of those. Setup completely open, so this will be down to a lot of setups. It'll be down to how well the drivers can set up the car, what sort of suspension setups they like to run on, what sort of aerodynamics. They'll probably be running quite low aerodynamics today, the drivers will, because this is such a high-speed track. They call it the Temple of Speed here at Monza. With only really a few braking zones, very heavy braking zones, I should point out, because we have plenty of tight chicanes, but separated by very, very long straights and not many fast corners. I suppose that Curva Grande and the final corner are very fast, but really it's going to be all down to the setups that allow the drivers to keep the car through the corners and then blast away on the straights. Anyway, we have 4 cars, I believe, here this Thursday afternoon. We have Ferrari in the 488 GT3. Currently, the leader of this session is Ryan Mangian in the Ferrari 488 GT3. We have the Porsche 911 GT3R, which is currently being driven by Daniel Samut and a couple of other guys. Samut is the top Porsche at the moment. We have BMW represented at the top so far by Adrian Matson, and we have the Mercedes AMG GT3 with Noel Attard and his likes. Still a few guys, I believe, not yet have joined or yet to join the server, but we've got a few people in and plenty of people lapping the track at the moment. So I believe that one of the fastest cars at Monza, from what I've seen in the past, tends to be the Mercedes, actually, because it has a lot of power in a straight line, and I've seen them just absolutely blast away into the distance before. So just under 24 minutes left in this session. Currently, Bernard Veller at the top in the Ferrari 488 GT3. But as I said, still plenty of time to go. Several people haven't set laps yet. Several people aren't even in the session yet. So we still have plenty of time to go in this session. Quick lap just coming in there from one of the Porsches, I believe. That's Omar Barbara in the Ferrari, actually, not the Porsche. Moving up into 4th position there with that lap. Still plenty of lap time to be found, though, because we're only in the 148.6s at the moment in terms of the actual the leader. I've seen GT3 cars going quicker than that round here, so we'll see what we end up with by the end. Currently, 8 laps have been set so far. 9, as I say that, although the lap just set by Keith Camilleri wasn't a representative lap time, over 7 minutes, so he probably had a pit stop during that. And I believe that he will be going around again. Of course, Keith Camilleri rather won the the BTCC practice race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca earlier this year. So he is definitely going to be one to look out for here. This is, of course, a rear-wheel drive car, unlike the BTCC front-wheel drive he was driving then. But still, Camilleri is actually a driver in reality. He raced in the Italian Formula 4 Championship back in 2014. The year it was won by Lance Stroll, incidentally, who is, of course, gone on to bigger and greater things at the moment. But Keith Camilleri, of course, seen as one of the best drivers, if not the best driver ever to emerge from Malta. So I'm sure that the home crowd here in Sim News Malta, or Sim Racing Malta rather, will be cheering him on with a passion. And this lap, I tell you, is looking quick. So let's see what he can do here. He's just going through the Ascari chicane, carrying a lot of speed through there as you have to, running it out on the curbs. Not as much as I've seen other people doing, but we're only in early stages in this practice session, as Alessandro Grech, the Belgian, puts his Mercedes in 2nd position. Now we're seeing the speed of the Mercedes as he puts the time within 0.5 of a second of Bernard Veller at the top of the times. Some people at the moment opting to run the medium tyre, possibly getting used to sort of practicing race stints, possibly. As Keith Camilleri sets his first lap time, that is a 150.074, so that puts him 6th so far. As I said, though, still plenty of time to go. We're just at the end of the first 10 minutes here, so still just over 20 minutes remaining, plus the end of the lap that everyone is on. So, couple of minutes still to go in this session, and so far, just the initial stages where the guys are just putting in their first few laps, seeing how the car feels, seeing how the track feels, assessing the conditions, learning the car and track combination, of course, and well, just getting used to it, really. I tell you what, though, fastest second sector time has just come in there from Bernard Vella in sector 2 there. So, well, that's the fastest overall, and we'll see how that helps his overall lap time. Let's see what his sector 3 time can be. If this is quick, this could be a very good lap time. His first sector wasn't quite on it, actually. His first sector was about 3/10 off what the fastest has been. As Keith Camilleri now goes second in the second, or fastest in the second sector. So first across the line now is Bernard Vella. He does not improve his lap time there. Let's see what Keith Camilleri can do in the Porsche. Very nicely liveried Porsche, I should point out. As he rounds the final corner, let's see what the lap will be. It's the top, so 148.501 from Keith Camilleri, and he goes to the top with an all-time, or a session fastest so far in the second sector, and of course a session fastest lap time to put him at the top as well. So Keith Camilleri currently top, followed by Bernard Vella, Alessandro Grech, Terence Grech, Ryan Manchian, Daniel Samut, Omar Barbara, Jason Muscat, who won the WCS League McGann Trophy the other day, so well done for that. Menno Klont and Daniel Venturino. So those are the top 10 at the moment. Although this is only practice, and Jason Muscat, I believe, is in the gravel. So something has gone wrong there. He is indeed in the gravel. And there's damage to his car as well, so something's happened there. I'm pretty sure you can go back to the pits and retry if that does indeed happen. But there will be yellows in that sector. Yeah, he's teleported back to the pits now. There would have been yellows in that sector. Daniel Samut, meanwhile, was on a quick lap, but he's in the pits at the moment as Daniele Venturino puts in his fastest in the second sector. Of course, the third sector only contains one corner, of course, and that's the Parabolica, which is probably the most difficult corner on the track. Very difficult sort of braking zone, and by the time the corner is upon you, you're still braking while you steer. And that can often unsettle, or really badly unsettle a car. Then you have to run it right over to the exit on the outside. And I've seen cars getting very bouncy over the curb there. I've seen cars spinning it over the curb there as Venturino puts the car into 9th position. Moves ahead of Menno Klont in the Porsche. Now, who is going to be next to set a quick lap? Just seeing if anyone's running the medium tyre at the moment. Nope. No driver on the track is running the medium tyre at the moment, so everyone hot lapping as it is. Getting ready for qualifying, which will start in just over 16 minutes now. And after those 60 minutes, we'll get the qualifying underway. It's going to be a 15-minute qualifying session. So the same length as most qualifying sessions in simulator series are. Quite a short length of time as well. So they have to get it right. Really, they only get a few attempts. Not many people. Oh, I was just about to say not many people on quick laps at the moment, but Keith Camilleri was fastest in sector 2 last time he went through, but he's back into the pits now, so has obviously aborted that lap. But he's heading back out onto the track now, so it feels like he should go for another attempt, which indeed he's going to do. So out onto the track now goes Keith Camilleri. Of course, one of the chief crowd favourites here, as I said earlier, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do. We know that Camilleri is a very, very quick driver, but if he hasn't proved himself or proven himself already, this is another good opportunity for him to do so. Now, Menno Klont is up on his personal best in the second sector. He's just exiting the final corner. I was speaking to Menno Klont just before this session, actually, and he says that this is only going to be his second race on Assetto Corsa. He's running 10th at the moment in qualifying. And if he can finish high up the order in just his second race, or his third race, as the reverse grid race will be, then on Assetto Corsa, which is the simulator that we're using, then that will be a very, very impressive result from Menno. Of course, Menno's been racing quite a lot this year. He's been doing the WCS League GP3 series. He's been doing the GPVWC Formula Challenge, as well as a bit of Super Cup and Super League, also from the GPVWC. So a lot of racing from Menno Klont, and a couple of wins, I should point out as well, in the WCS McGann Trophy alongside that. So Menno will be one to look out for. Of course, he's mainly from R Factor 2, very much an R Factor 2 guy, but in terms of the simulator racing in general, Menno is a quick guy, and definitely not one to be overlooked. He's just going through the second sector now, but his first two sectors have not been quicker. In fact, he's had a big twitch in the second sector there, so I don't think that this lap is going to be his personal best. And let's see what it's going to be. I believe that all other guys registered as being up on their times have actually just come out of the pits or have been into the pits, so they're not representative times. And let's see what Menno can do as he exits the final corner now. It's not up on his time, so he's going to go around again. Possibly a couple of mistakes on that lap. So it's still Keith Camilleri at the top of the order at the moment, and no one else has been able to match him so far. Although I tell you what, Bernard Vella has really not been that far away from his time. With in fact, he's less than 200ths of a second off it. So possibly a bit of a rivalry forming between the two Maltese guys at the top of the order there. Well, quite a few Maltese guys in the order today, actually, but definitely two of them to watch for right at the top of the order now. One in a Porsche, one in a Ferrari. Interestingly, I've noticed that Alessandro Grech and Terence Grech are registered as being different nationalities on Assetto Corsa. I don't know if that's true or not. I always thought that they were from the same family and the same country, but I might be mistaken here.
Actually, yes, Joshua, they are from from the same country, not from the same family, but yes, they're both Maltese.
Both Maltese, right? So
yeah, that's right.
Alessandro Grech's Belgian flag then is just deciding to throw me off all of a sudden. Okay, I'm not entirely sure why that's there, but whatever the case, the two Grechs third and fourth at the moment, so a strong showing so far. Very strong showing so far. In fact, neither of them over 2/10 of a second behind Keith Camilleri at the moment, and that might well be. Oh, as Alessandro Grech now moves to the top of the order. So Grech, yeah, 1:48.406. That's a very fast lap. Still practice, of course, but still a very fast lap from Alessandro Grech in the number 69 Mercedes there. Very nicely liveried white and black Mercedes. It's like a bumblebee. Daniel Samut has just gone fastest in the first sector there with a 38.4. That's a 10th faster than Keith Camilleri did on that last lap. And as he goes round the tightest section of the track apart from the first chicane, the two Lesmos, let's see what Daniel Samut can do with this lap. Of course, still two sectors to go as Bernard Vella sticks his car at the top of the order now. So Vella up to the top in his Ferrari. with a 1:48.372. Again, another quick lap, and that's just under half a tenth of a second ahead of Alessandro Grech. So still quite close at the top of the order, but let's see what Daniel Samut can do. It's a quick second sector as well, so Samut is on a very quick lap here, and let's see what it'll be as he misses the apex slightly at the Parabolica, but let's see what the lap is anyway as he exits the final corner, and this might well put him to the top of the order. And it doesn't. So his third sector, possibly with the missed apex, possibly with the missed apex on the entry of the corner, has only managed to put him fourth, actually, behind Keith Camilleri and ahead of Terence Grech. So that's fourth at the moment for Daniel Samut, but we've seen that he has pace in the first and second sector. So if he can improve that in the third sector as well, then he could be a contender for the top few spots of this session as well. So the order now is still Bernard Vella, followed by Alessandro Grech, Keith Camilleri, Daniel Samut, and Terence Grech. Omar Bubba, I was just about to say, was on a quick lap, but it appears that he's had a pit stop and then an off, so that's a double note. Jason Muscat, yeah, quick lap for him so far. He's just going through the second sector in his BMW, and both of his first two sectors have been personal bests so far, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Meanwhile, Daniel Samut has actually gone fastest again in the first sector, fastest overall. But I'm going to focus on Jason Muscat at the moment because Muscat is closing towards the end of this lap, running 8th at this precise moment, but he is hoping to improve on that, of course, as he crosses the line in a second or two. It's quick, but it hasn't gained him a position, so he is still, although he's gained on his time, he is still in 8th position. Now I'm going to switch to Daniel Samut, who has just, of course, gone fastest in the first sector. Didn't improve on even his personal best in the second, so I'm going to see. And his third sector, while it was a personal best, was not a fastest of the session, and he only keeps, or only. Well, he doesn't improve his lap at all there, so still fourth for Daniel Samut. But Keith Camilleri now is fastest in the first sector. Oh, big slide in the second, though. So this might not be a faster lap here from Keith Camilleri, as he just overcooks it into the first Lesmo, as it's so easy to do. Again, these cars will be running very low downforce here in this race event. So very easy to kind of slide the car out a bit, and that's what we just saw happen. Let's see what his second sector time is, to see if the lap is still alive or not. I don't believe it is. That's a very slow second sector time. Bernard Vella might be one to concentrate on here, because he has just gone with a personal best in the second sector. He is actually just following Keith Camilleri, so he might be able to focus on both of these two guys, who have both put in session bests in the two sectors so far. Although Camilleri is at least 2 seconds down after the second sector, so Camilleri's lap will not be up. Indeed, in the second sector, he was 2.2 seconds down. So let's see what Bernard Vella can do as Camilleri crosses the line soon to start a new hot lap. Vella is slowing. So Vella obviously just. Actually, no, he did just put in that lap. It wasn't quicker than his best, but he did put in the lap. Actually, I think it might have been quicker than his best, actually, a 1:48.307. I can't remember what it was before. But whatever the case, with just under 6 minutes of the session remaining now, the order is Bernard Vella by just under a tenth of a second, by as near as makes no difference, ahead of Alessandro Grech, Keith Camilleri, Daniel Samut, and Terence Grech. Ryan Mangian has set his personal best in the first sector here. Let's see what he's capable of as he makes his way around the top end of the circuit. As I see a BMW running slightly wide behind him there. Still only 11 people in the in the server, 11 races rather in the server, and that's quite disappointing actually, because I was expecting more than that. We had more on the entry list, and it might just be that some guys are yet to join, and might join for qualifying. I hope that's the case. because it would be a pretty small entry list otherwise. But I have to trust that we'll get more in for qualifying. Now, around the final corner comes Ryan Mansion. His second sector was not a personal best, but it was still quick. So let's see what this lap's going to be. He's about a second down on the leaders, just as his personal best has been so far, and that did not improve his best, so keeps him 7th. Meanwhile, Bernard Vella and Keith Camilleri are still scrapping over the top of the order, but Keith Camilleri sticks his car 2nd. And I tell you what, 2nd and 3rd, Camilleri and Alessandro Grech are separated by 1,000th of a second. So Keith Camilleri's lap for 2nd is 1:48.505, 405 rather, 0.405. And Alessandro Grech's fastest lap so far has been a 1:48.406. So the 2nd and 3rd place cars separated by 1,000th of a second, and that could prove that we might well get a good rivalry in the actual races and in qualifying between Camilleri and Grech here. Now, looking at the personal bests in the sectors again, Jason Muscat has put in his personal best sector. If he can improve that. He's just coming down to the Ascari chicane right at this moment. He's going underneath the old bridge, which, of course, was used when they used the old oval at Monza. And Jason Muscat has just set his fastest sector time in the 2nd sector as well. Now, Muscat, from what I've seen in the WCS League McGann Trophy, is not the quickest of drivers, but he is one of the most consistent. And if consistency is what you're looking for, Jason Muscat is definitely one of the drivers to look for. Now, I believe I've cursed him because he's just had an accident. So as soon as I'm praising how good and consistent he is a driver, he has an accident. But oh well. Bernard Vella, meanwhile, is going up in the 2nd sector. So Bernard Vella has just set a very fast 2nd sector, actually, and let's see what he does in the 3rd. He improves his fastest lap. So Bernard Vella does a 1:48.150, and that's a quick fastest lap of the session so far. It's 0.255 ahead of Keith Camilleri in 2nd, and a quick lap from Bernard Vella. So Vella definitely putting down his name as a driver to be reckoned with so far in this session as he goes out for another run. Of course, you'll often see guys going out for one run, then pitting the car, and then going out again, because for their actual laps, they want to set the laps on as little fuel as they can afford to put in. So if they don't even put enough in for the in lap, as we've seen in the past, and are probably putting in or seeing in this session as well, then that's why you see them teleporting back to the pits and then going straight back out again. They do an out lap, a hot lap, an out lap, a hot lap, an out lap, a hot lap. And at the moment, the fastest lap of that is a 1:48.150 from Bernard Vella, who now goes wide in the 2nd sector. Now, we've just had another driver join in the server, actually. In fact, two other drivers now, bringing our total to 13. And those are Sandro Zara and Noel Attard. So we've had Sandro Zara and Noel Attard joining the server just then, and they are just putting in their first laps now. Actually, Noel Attard's going to have to do another lap before he gets one that counts. Zara puts his car 12th at the moment, but still plenty of time to improve. He's only just joined the server. Then again, in this practice session, there's not really plenty of time to improve at all, because we are now into the final 20 seconds of standard time. So that means that when this timer ticks down, these drivers will be on their final laps of the session, and when that ticks down, or when they finish those laps rather, and everyone's seen the checkered flag, the session can end, and we will go ahead for qualifying. A 15-minute qualifying session, of course, which is half of the length of the session you just saw then. And it'll be interesting to see who puts it at the top, of course. So far, we have 6 drivers within a second of each other at the top of the order. Couple more putting in pretty quick sector times. Menno Klont has just set his personal best in the first sector, and that's going to be one to look out for. Also, Daniele Venturino has just put in his personal best in the second sector, and actually that's quite a quick lap as well. And he's further ahead on the lap than Klont is, so I'm going to spectate Daniele Venturino here to see what kind of lap he can put in here. He's just coming through the final corner now. His current lap is a 151.053, and he doesn't improve that. So, in fact, he puts in a very similar lap to that time through, but it's not quicker. Menno Klont has had an accident. So, where is that? Actually, okay, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but anyway. Meanwhile, Keith Camilleri has just put in another lap, which was down on his personal best, but he did put in a session best sector 1 time on that lap. It was just that his sector 2 and 3 were not as quick. Who else hasn't finished their laps yet? Actually, I believe everyone has. So, oh no, still got Sandro Zara on one final flying lap. He's currently 13th place, so let's see what he can do when he crosses the line on this lap in the 912 Porsche. Just heading through the 2 Lesmos now. Or no, that's later on. Oh yeah, that's the first of the 2 Lesmos. And I believe that this is an outlap actually, because otherwise his sector 2 time wouldn't have counted here. So I don't know why. Okay, right, into qualifying now. So that session is over, and qualifying will be starting shortly. So fastest of that session, of course, was Bernard Vella with a 148.150. Keith Camilleri was second, followed by Alessandro Grech, Daniel Samut, Terence Grech, Omar Barbara, Ryan Manchian, Jason Muscat, Daniele Venturino, Menno Klont, Noel Attard, Adriano Matson, and Sandro Zara. And those were the drivers we saw in that session there. Although we do still have qualifying and then 2 races to come. So go nowhere. That was not the end of it. In fact, we're barely getting started. So the countdown to qualifying is ticking into the last 10 seconds. The drivers really do not have much time to rest at all, as qualifying starts now. So 15 minutes underway. And out of the pits first, I can hear one car going out. It's Bernard Vella. So Vella very eager to get it going here. Of course, Vella was the fastest in session 1, and he wants to get out and get as much clean air as he can possibly get here at the start of this session. So this is a good opportunity for me to talk you around the lap, actually. It starts with a very tight chicane there. We'll see a lot of action there on the first 2 laps of the 2 races, surely, and hopefully not too many accidents, but it's actually quite rare that we get a first lap at Monza without contact at that chicane. Then it's a very fast, flat-out right-hander at Curva Grande, followed by a left and a right at the second chicane. Down into the 2 Lesmos. Here's the first, and the second follows it. This is right at the top of the map when you look at most track maps of Monza. And there are the 2 corners where you can really gain or lose time. You see Vella weaving around to gain temperature in his tyres now. That's a technique that we've seen many drivers using. Now through the third of the 3 chicanes, because Monza is renowned for its artificial chicanes. That's Ascari. Of course, Ascari used to be a very long sweeping left without a chicane in it at all. But of course, they wanted to slow the cars down because that section of track was just becoming far too fast. And now through the final corner at the Parabolica. Of course, of course, the only corner in the final sector. Bernard Vella puts in his first lap, but that is an out lap, so that will not be the actual qualifying pace. In fact, I'm quite surprised that counted at all, because he came from the pit lane, so I don't know entirely why that lap appears to have counted. But anyway, he's now onto his proper flying lap. Daniel Samut and Menno Klont are the second and third guys to start flying laps. But Bernard Vella is going to be the first one to actually put in a flying lap. Just coming through the Lesmos now. He's just passed a BMW. I believe that's the BMW of Jason Muscat. It is indeed. Of course, the Ferrari 488 much newer than the BMW Z4 that you see Jason Muscat driving, but that probably shouldn't deter them from having a very good race indeed, because we've seen from GT3 racing that it is close whatever you do to it, and whoever's racing. Now, the first two sectors, not entirely blistering from Bernard Vella there. The second sector was good. The first sector, not thrilling. But this is only the first hot lap of the session, so still plenty of time to go after this one. In fact, Daniel Samut has just put in a faster Sector 1 than Bernard Vella's. But let's see what Bernard Vella's lap is. It's a 1:48.459. Now, that's a quick one, but in practice, he set a 1:48.0, I think. So, still plenty of time to be gained here, almost half a second. Daniel Samut is going to be the next guy through to set a lap, and he was, of course, ahead of Vella in the first sector. Although now Terence Gresh has gone fastest, or Gresh rather, has gone fastest in the first sector, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. Daniel Samut crosses the line, his lap is second. Now, Terence Gresh is on a fast lap here, a faster lap than the top guys so far. It was a 38.7 in the first sector, and his second sector might also be faster. The timing beam is now, it's not faster than Bernard Vella's. In fact, it's a long way down, 9/10 of a second down, so I presume that Gresh made a mistake in sector 2 here. Possibly up at the Lesmos, easy place to make a mistake. Daniel Samut now is fastest in the first sector, but I'm just going to see what Terence Gresh's first lap, or first flying lap rather, is first, as he heads around the Parabolica, and let's see what his lap is going to be. And it's fourth, so fourth place for Terence Gresh so far, but Daniel Samut is the guy I'm interested in. Oh, he's in the pits. So Samut was on a faster lap, but has aborted it and has headed into the pits. Keith Camilleri, meanwhile, was on a faster lap, but has had a spin. So Camilleri spins it round. Is that at the second Lesmo? It is indeed. So Camilleri has had a spin coming into the second Lesmo, as Daniel Samut heads out of the pits again. And the order after the first round of laps is Vella, Camilleri, Samut, Gresh, and Muscat. Those are the top 5 anyway. Now, first lap just came in from Jason Muscat to put him up into 5th position. Still over a second and a half behind the leader though, so time to be gained there. And the leaders themselves have time to be gained as well. I reckon that chopping another 3/10 or 4/10 of a second out of that lap is entirely possible for Bernard Vella. As Sandro Zara puts his car in 7th here. Terence Gresh is on a lap. And he is up in the first 2 sectors. In fact, I believe he might be up on the top guys as well. No, not quite. But let's see what his what this particular lap is like as he exits the Parabolica now. Timing beam is quite early in the in a straight line actually. Now, I believe we have some more information about this this race from Adrian. So, Adrian,
Yes.
there we go.
Yes, Joshua, thank you. Actually, would like to thank our sponsors because all this wouldn't be possible without them, which are Continental Car Limited, Sim News TV, Melita, Textor Limited, Extreme Power Sport, Genesis, Fanatec, Hughes Veld, and Sparco. All these brands are obviously supporting us for all our ventures, even obviously Continental Cars Limited and Porsche for our 2018 GT3 Championship.
Yes, a very professionally run series, I must say. Plenty of sponsors sponsoring this, of course, to get the Maltese name into motorsport. And a lot of, as I said, a lot of sponsors for this series. Of course, this is actually on TV in Malta, so Maltese television audiences will be tuning into this, and yeah, this is definitely the most professional sim racing series that I've ever been involved with. We also have a live steward, which is something that we don't really have in many other series. I've seen series before where we've had stewards, but they tend to assess the incidents and accidents after the race rather than during it. Although here we have a live steward in the race, not racing, of course, but during the race. That's where the live name comes from, and that's just to add an extra level of professionalism to this event. And I'm looking forward to the actual series, the main series, the Porsche Cup, which is going to occur next season. Of course, the finale is actually being held on location, so it's being held offline. Do you want to say more about that specific event, Adrian? Because it's going to be a big event, I'm sure. Okay, I don't believe we actually have Adrian in the booth, but never mind. Yeah, so there's going to be an offline finale to the Porsche series next year.
No, actually, I need to correct that. It will be an online finale for the series next year.
Okay.
It will be held obviously online on the same actual circuit that the winner will be driving the real Porsche then in Istanbul.
Ah, I was sure it was offline. Someone said it was offline. Someone very reliable as well. So I'm surprised by that. But anyway, okay, online finale. There we go. Online series, sim racing. But yeah, the prize for that, of course, very big prize, is a Porsche on track experience at the Intercity Circuit at Istanbul, I believe, and that's definitely one to look out for, because that's worth a lot of money, and there will be a lot of people who will be wanting to get that drive. Meanwhile, Keith Camilleri, back to qualifying, has set a very fast first sector. We haven't actually had any improvements up the top of the order since last time I was speaking. I mean, we've had Jason Muscat getting demoted to second, but seventh rather, not second, seventh. But the order is Vela, Alessandro Grech, Camilleri, Terence Grech, and Daniel Samut. So those are the top five at the moment. Omar Barber is the other guy who has demoted Jason Muscat so far. And Camilleri's second sector was also quite good. Not as good as he's done earlier in the session, but it's been a quick lap so far. So let's see what he can do in the third sector. Judging by the delta time, he does appear to lose quite a bit of time on the entrance of Parabolica. So I'm wondering whether the car's not set up for the entrance of Parabolica. Although he does seem to gain it right back again on the exit, which is unusual. But anyway, Camilleri still in third place. That lap there wasn't able to push him further up the order. Sandro Zara now has gone up on his personal best in the second sector. He's currently in 10th position, and let's see what this lap gives him. It's 8th, so he moves ahead of Ryan Mangian and Menno Klont. And now Terence Grech is on a lap as well. Just one corner to go for him as well. Although that one corner is an entire sector, basically. So let's see what Terence Grech can do. Of course, the final corner here, is going straight on. So Grech has aborted that lap and is heading back to the pits there. As Omar Barber, actually, I don't think he did improve his lap with that time. He improved his third sector time, but not his actual lap there. Now, very, very close to the end of the session here. In fact, if anyone hasn't made it out of the pits yet, they're not, because we have less than 1 minute and 40 of standard time, and that means that only the guys who were on track already will be able to set another lap. Although, of course, there is still time to start another lap if you're not on one at the moment. Bernard Vella is about to improve his fastest lap, I believe, because he set a quick first sector time. Not as quick as his best, though, but a blistering second sector time. First second sector I've seen within 35 seconds. It's a 34.9 there. And if he can get the final corner right here at Parabolica, this will be a very quick lap. So let's see what he does here as Keith Camilleri moves up to second. So Camilleri moves ahead of Alessandro Grech and less than a tenth away from Bernard Vella, who improves his lap. So Bernard Vella improves his lap to a 1:48.276, and that is faster for Bernard Vella, but still not as quick as his practice lap, interestingly, which is unusual. Normally we go quicker in qualifying, but anyway, that's still a very quick lap, and no one has matched it so far, and not many people are going to get another chance. Omar Barber moves up to fourth place now. So Omar Barber is in fourth position with a 1:48.958. Moves ahead of Terence Grech and Daniel Semi. Keith Camilleri is launching a late attack. He's just set his personal best in the second sector. He's almost set his personal best in the first sector. Let's see what he can do in the third sector. This is his last chance at pole position now, because the time has ticked to 0. So this is going to be his absolute last chance. Can anyone knock Bernard Vella off the top spot here? Here comes Keith Camilleri out of the final corner. It's Maltese driver versus Maltese driver. And let's see what the lap is. It's second. So, second place. Only 0.06 of a second off Bernard Vella at the top of the order. But Bernard Vella has pole here at the Autodromo Internazionale Monza. Of the 13 drivers who set laps. And no one else is on a lap. So that is the end of qualifying here. But we still have 2 races to go. When I say no one else is on a lap, I mean no one else is on a challenging lap. Terence Grech's first and second sectors were down. In fact, he's in the pit. Jason Muscat just rounding the track, but he's about 0.3 down on himself. So this will not probably be an improvement from Jason Muscat. And once he's crossed the line, we can progress to the first race. Also, Adriano Mazzon is still out on the track, but I don't believe he is actually on a lap at the moment. If he is, he's a very long way down. And Jason Muscat is about half a second down on himself now. He's just exiting the final corner, but that is down on his personal best, and he places 7th. So, at the end of qualifying, it is Bernard Vella on pole, followed by Keith Camilleri, Alessandro Grech, Omar Barber, Terence Gresh, Daniel Samit, Jason Muscat, Ryan Mangiant, Sandro Zara, Menno Klont, Noel Attard, Daniele Venturino, and Adriano Matson. So that is the order at the end of qualifying. The 13 cars who set laps, and we are about to progress to the actual race. The first of the 2 races, of course, which is going to be a race from the grid order that I just read out to you. The second race, of course, is going to be a reversed grid. But first race coming up. As soon as everyone's ready. We have 10 seconds left on the countdown here, so really not that long to wait at all. And this is the point where it gets properly tense for the drivers. And here comes the race. So oh dear, I've actually just disconnected. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be right back in actually. Return. Okay, there we go. I'll be back in time for the race. No, just brief technical glitch there. But anyway. So Bernard Vella on pole position at the moment has been utterly dominant so far. 2 tenths, or almost 2 tenths ahead of everyone else in qualifying. He was over 2 tenths ahead of everyone else in practice. And to be honest, it'll all be down to who can knock him off his perch in the race, if anyone can. Certainly it's going to be a tough one. The lights are coming on, and they are out. So we're underway here. We're underway in Sim Racing Malta as we head down to the turn 1. The entire pack is streaming down, and Bernard Vella has got a very good start. He is at the head of the pack. Keith Camilleri gets bounced over the grass, and straight on goes one of the Ferraris. Who's that at the head of the order? Who's gone straight on? Oh, contact to the back. Contact in the midfield, actually. A big car's been taken out there. Jason Muscat has been for a spin. A couple of other guys have also been on. There was a Mercedes off the road. It was, I believe it was Alessandro Grech. Was it? Yeah, I think it might have been. But anyway, Bernard Vella leads the race around. As we head into the first of the 2 Lesmos here. And it's Vella from Camilleri, Grech, Barber, the other Grech, Samit, Muscat, Manchian, Zara, and Klont. They're already slotting into formation, actually. But Vella leading the race as we head through the Ascari chicane. Of course, no formation lap that I saw there, so I was a bit confused as to when the race was actually starting, but I believe it started now. They certainly appear to be going for it. No one really within overtaking range, though. This is quite bizarre, really. It's not the kind of bunched up start to a race we're used to seeing here. But anyway, I believe the race is underway anyway. Now, Vella moves to the inside to defend from Camilleri as we cross the line. The gap is 0.6 of a second after this, the first lap of the race. And the order is Vella, Camilleri, Terence Gresh, Ryan Manchion. This is where I was confused about the order, is because it only updates itself after every lap. So that's why I was confused about the order. Indeed, it was Alessandro Grech who got caught up in the accident at the start of the race. So it's Vella, Camilleri, Grech, Manchion, Samut, Zara, Klont, Venturino, Matson, the other Grech, Terence Grech, that is, and then Simranjit Taka, who actually missed qualifying. So Taka from the back of the grid in the BMW is up to 11th, followed by Attard, Muscat, who is out of the race. So Muscat is out. No, he's in the pits. So Muscat is in the pits after... Oh, gosh, he's had very big contact, judging by his damaged front suspension. That might have been the accident at the start of the race. Also into the pits is Omar Barbara. So Barbara is also in the pits, and he was a big car in terms of the actual order. So Barbara is also out here, unfortunately, and or in the pits rather. So we've had our first 2 casualties of the Sim Racing Malta first race of 2, and it's still Vela leading from Camilleri and Grech, Terence Grech. Ryan Mangian is the second placed Ferrari in 4th place overall, and the leading Mercedes is Alessandro Grech in 10th. So Mercedes, I said, would be a big contender in this race, but I appear to have put the commentator's curse on them. Interestingly, only 1 car running the medium compound of tyre here. Nope, 2. So Simranjit Thakur and Adriano Matson are both running the BMW Z4 GT3 on medium tyres, the medium compound of tyres, which is the slower compound of tyre here. But it does last longer, so as Alessandro Grech has made his way up past 2 cars on that lap, but he is now under attack again from Daniele Venturino, who goes wide, doesn't quite manage to drag his way around the outside though, and oh, big slide though from Grech on the exit as he gets over the gravel, and now Venturino is going to have an attack again around the outside of Curva Grande for 8th position. Let's see what Venturino can do. He's going to have the inside for the next braking zone, down into the first chicane, and through he goes. So he does get the move. Oh, Grech runs right over the curb. Actually cuts the corner, and he's going to have to give that place up because he cut the corner and then rejoined right into the pass to Venturino. Although he has stayed ahead, so I don't think that will be allowed to stick, because we do have a live steward here who will probably be reviewing that. But that's quite an odd one if it is allowed to stick. He's giving it back, so he was just waiting for a better place on the track to give it back, or is he giving it back? Venturino's definitely on the outside, but will Grech back out? Yes, he does. So, oh no, but Venturino's gone off. So Venturino trying to rightfully reclaim the place that Grech gained by cutting the corner, and Venturino has gone off and given the place back to Grech. So Grech keeps the 8th place for now anyway. I don't know if he will for good. I'd be surprised, but anyway. At the front of the order after lap 3, it is still Vela from Camilleri.
Actually, as you were saying, right now, Alessandro Grech, which is car number 8, is under investigation, and we'll come back obviously with the outcome from the steward.
Thank you, Adrian. So there's an update. Alessandro Grech, who is running in P8, he's actually car number 69, but Alessandro Grech, who is running in P8, is under investigation for leaving the track and gaining advantage, no doubt. Up the front of the field, Bernard Vela is getting away. He is now 1.3 seconds ahead of Keith Camilleri in 2nd place, and we still have not that many battles further behind, actually. Still Daniele Venturino and Adriano Matson quite close, although I'm looking at Noel Attard, actually, who is behind Adriano Matson there for 10th position. Of course, the top 10 is the magical number that most people aim for. Well, of course, everyone aims for the win. But, oh, big spin and off. Into the barrier goes Noel Attard in the Mercedes, and that might well have damaged his suspension. I'm going to ride on board with him now just to check. I can't actually see his steering wheel, so I'm not entirely sure. But definitely contact with the barriers there from Noel Attard. Actually, his steering seems fine, so it hasn't knocked it too much, if at all. Of course, only a couple of guys running behind him. Omar Barber is one of them, and Simranjit Thakur another. unfortunately, Jason Muscat has retired from this race. So Muscat out, and Bubba is just giving places up to the people who are lapping him. So Muscat out, and he might well be in a good position for the reverse grid. So, or he will be in a good position for the reverse grid because he'll be on pole actually. So, Jason Muscat, unfortunately, is our first retirement, but let's see what he can do in race 2.
So we have a decision actually from the stewards regarding Alessandro Grech. Due to the happenings in lap 3, he's been given a 10-second penalty.
Right, there you have it. That was not entirely unexpected, and that's Alessandro Grech with a 10-second penalty. So that will be served at the end of the race, and that will mean that his race time will be classified as 10 seconds longer than it otherwise would be, and that at the moment would drop him 2 positions and put him in 10th. So that would actually put Daniele Venturino back through again, which is, of course, what the penalty is designed to do. Sandro Zarano and Menno Klont are close together for 6th position, as well as Alessandro Grech, but he, of course, has a penalty. And if I was one of the 2 number 912 Porsches, oh, they're going 3 wide. They're going 3 wide down the back straight as the Porsches get bad runs out of the corner, and Grech capitalizes and goes up the inside of both of them. He might be able to outbrake them into Parabolica here. Now, these 2 Porsches are liveried exactly the same, but there are no teams in this, so these are both racing for themselves here. But Grech gets out ahead of both of them. I tell you what, despite the fact Grech is penalised here, that was a brilliant move from Alessandro Grech, who is ahead of Menno Klont, but Klont is going for the move again. So Klont and Zara are the 2 Porsches behind, and Klont is going to the outside now. But, of course, the ideal line through the first chicane is the inside. So Grech, after that cracking piece of overtaking, gets himself up into effectively, or at the moment, 6th position. Effectively, he's still in 9th. Interestingly, I believe we've actually lost another car. Adrian Matson has dropped behind Noel Attard, who has an accident earlier on, actually. So I believe that Matson has also had an accident somewhere, and indeed he has, because his rear bumper is very, very dented. So damage to Adriano Matson in 11th place here. And Omar Barber, I believe, is also out of the race. He's either out of the race entirely or he's just pitting. But Matson, or rather Barber, definitely in the pits, and it's not looking good for him. So possibly his damage from earlier coming back to haunt him, or possibly just his, or possibly he's had another accident. The gap for the lead actually came down on that last, so it was 1.5 seconds before. Now it's 1.1. In fact, now it's come down even more. It's just half a second. So Camilleri is launching a charge, as we head down towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough to attack this time through, I don't think. Certainly as a look at it on Bernard Vella, but Vella goes defensive and just says, "You're not going to dive bomb me." Of course, we saw a great dive bomb in Formula 1 earlier this year from Daniele Ricciardo on Kimi Raikkonen down there. So you can really surprise people down there, especially in cars such as these, which have big braking zones compared to single-seaters. But Camilleri is properly on a charge now. And indeed, Vella actually bumped over the curbs a bit on the exit of the second chicane there. So Camilleri might be close enough to have an attack soon. Of course, there's a lot of slipstreaming that goes on this track, being the temple of speed as it is. As down the back straight we head, underneath the old banking and towards Ascari. Not many overtaking opportunities rear their heads here, because the chicane is so fast and the corner angle is obtuse. But Parabolica might be one. We saw Grech pulling off a cracking move down here. Alessandro Grech. Although he might not be close enough this time round. I believe, actually, Vela tagged a wheel on the grass there, so that might lose him a bit of momentum here. Doesn't really matter too much there, because he just braked anyway, so... But I tell you what, he's having to go right to the inside of the track to defend from Camilleri here, who is right in his slipstream, as Vela ducks and weaves to break the toe, and he's going to force Camilleri to the outside line, just like he did last lap, and Camilleri's not going to be able to attack him this time through. But Camilleri certainly getting very close. The time that time through, the difference between the two cars was 0.3 of a second, almost 0.4 of a second. He's going to the inside of Curva Grande. So Camilleri is to the inside of Curva Grande, and can he drag his way through even before the braking zone of the next turn? He does. Camilleri leads the race. Will Vela be able to come back at him? Not there. So Camilleri, although he goes wide, does he get it stopped? He does indeed. But will Vela get the switchback? Not there. So Vela almost thought about getting the switchback, but it's Camilleri who leads the race here. Camilleri leads the race on lap 7, or after lap 7 rather, on lap 8. Vela had another little look into Lesmo number 2 there, but not room to pass the brilliantly quick Camilleri. Keith Camilleri. Now down into Ascari. I'm interested to see what happens this time through down into Parabolica. We're at the properly slipstreaming section of the track now, if not all of it is. And the Ferrari, you can see there, slightly lower than the Porsche, just cuts through the air that slight bit easier with its lower surface area, and might be quicker in a straight line. Of course, the top speeds of the two cars are very similar, but with the added slipstream, the Porsche is basically acting as a windbreak for the Ferrari behind, and he's punching punching a hole in the air rather. So Camilleri effectively helping Vela along here, and Vela reveling in it, but not quite getting close enough that time through. The gap was just 0.3 of a second, as it was last lap, but the other way round. So now Camilleri is 0.3 out of Vela rather than the other way round. But this battle is still very close and shows absolutely no sign of ceasing. Alessandro Grech, meanwhile, has moved ahead of Daniel Samut, who I believe has lost a couple of positions on that lap, actually, or recently. So Samut, I'm sure that Grech was 6th before, so I think it's Samut who's lost places. Yeah, it has been, because... Yeah, so Samut has dropped down to 8th now. He was running 5th before. Back to the leaders, meanwhile, they're still very, very close as they head down towards the Ascari chicane. Possibly a bit further apart than they were last lap, though, but all it takes is one mistake from Keith Camilleri. And still trying to break the toe, even for a nanosecond, just to reduce that help that he's giving Bernard Vela. Now, as we exit Parabolica, what can Vela do down into the first chicane here? He's certainly going to get a lot of slipstream, a face full of it, as we head down towards the first chicane. But the gap is still half a second. So Vela not quite close enough that time around to launch an attack, but he's certainly not given up yet. He's certainly still chasing Keith Camilleri. However, we've seen in the past that a tactic that sim racers or racers in general tend to use is once they get past, or when they're trying to pass, they launch an attack and then they drop back for a bit just to kind of regroup themselves, calm themselves down, and pressure their opponent a bit. And then when their opponent is least expecting it, they charge again. and see if they can get through. It's like a fencer. It's like how fencing tends to work, with someone going for an attack, then hanging back for a bit, then going in for another attack. We tend to see that in racing as well. Now through the Ascari chicane for the 10th time of asking. We are approximately 18 minutes into the race, and we have just 5 laps remaining after this one. It's a relatively long lap here in Monza. 1:48, of course, is the qualifying lap. So, on race fuel, the overall race time will be about 25 minutes. Now, as Vela gets back into the slipstream, just brakes. He does brake later than Camilleri down into the first chicane there, and does get very close to him, although there's just no room there. It's a very tight chicane, and when you're trying to follow someone there, you have to be on the inside. On the inside, you're not going to. The gap did come down on that lap. Bernard Vela's last lap was a 10th of a second faster than Keith Camilleri's, and the gap is down to less than half a second again that time through. So it is definitely a close race. I believe we've also now lost Noel Attard. Oh no, he's still running, but he's dropped behind again Adriano Matson, and has possibly had another incident. Simranjit Thakur still running and is the last of our runners at the moment. 12 cars remaining as he moves ahead on that lap of Noel Attard. So Attard having a bit of a struggle at the moment, as I'm getting called, so that's a bit unprofessional. Apologies about that. But anyway, the gap for the lead is possibly going to come even closer as we head down the start-finish straight here. Let's see what the gap is. It actually came out a bit on that lap, so just over half a second in it. Now, as we head out, I was just having a drink there. Apologies about that. But anyway, out through Curva Grande. And actually, Vela appears to be dropping back a little bit here. So Vela possibly doing my hanging back tactic, and might well try to launch a late race attack. Meanwhile, Sandro Zara and Daniele Venturino have switched places. So Venturino gains a place there and moves up into 7th. Zara is down into 8th, although they're still rather close there in 7th and 8th positions. Still very close, in fact. And there might be a move again there this time around.
Unfortunately, Joshua, for all those following us on live streaming, we're experiencing some disconnections due to some internet problems right now, and obviously these disconnections are affecting our live stream.
Okay, yeah, definitely apologies about that. We aim to bring you the best racing experience, but sometimes due to technicalities, that's not always entirely possible. I think I just saw a car going for a spin, but I'm really not sure who that was. I think it was one of the lapped cars.
It's Keith Camilleri, actually.
Spinning?
Yeah.
Oh, he has done.
Good.
He has done. So Keith Camilleri has spun out of the lead of the race, and he's dropped down to a 3rd position. So Keith Camilleri has had a disaster, and I'm not sure how that happened. Did you see it?
Yeah, he just spun on his own, actually, and obviously crashed with the barriers.
Oh, he's
That's
pitting.
what we've seen, yeah.
Oh no! So Keith Camilleri has had to pit the car after a spin from the lead of the race, and he's going to feel absolutely gutted. Look at his windscreen as well. His windows are all completely shattered. But Keith Camilleri has had an absolute disaster there. And it's now Bernard Vella, of course, who is leading the race, as he was before. Terence Grech has moved up into second place. Ryan Mangian will inherit third. Also, Alessandro Grech is up into fourth. Menno Klont into fifth. Daniele Venturino up into sixth. Sandro Zara to seventh. And that's as far as the number of people who have gone through yet, as Camilleri returns from the pits. So Camilleri is going to exit in, I believe, 8th position. Yep, Adriano Matson is not going to be close enough to also get through. So it is going to be 8th position that Keith Camilleri gets when he exits the pits. And unfortunately, it's not the first that he had before. Unfortunately for him, of course.
It looked like, let's put it this way, how we saw it here. It was some problem with the brakes. It's like what we've seen is like the brakes like locked that all of a sudden, you know.
Yeah, that happens. I saw him having a few sort of spins and slides in qualifying and practice as well, and I was wondering whether it was something to do with the brakes, because it appeared to be as he braked sometimes, and occasionally as he got on the throttle, that the car just seemed to kind of snap or lock up or something like that. I get the picture. The car's not set up exactly how he'd like it here, but
yeah, Keith it actually is having some problems also with his simulator, with his brakes on his simulator. It's something that obviously he told us earlier on today, and possibly maybe we saw that spin due to that.
Well, he did well to lead for that long then. I've raced with a dodgy simulator in the past, so I know what it's like, but yeah, definitely a big shame. When you spin from the lead, when you crash from the lead and have to pit especially, it's always absolutely gutting, because it's going so well, and then all of a sudden, when victory's in sight, because we only had 3 or 4 laps remaining at that point, then the win is snatched away from you by either your own doing or a system error. And
So
unfortunately,
actually it's good to notice that Keith Camilleri doesn't have that much of a dodgy simulator, because they have quite a professional simulator, but obviously enough.
Well, obviously something's playing up.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, he told us earlier on that he had some problems with his brakes, you know, with the hydraulics of his brakes. So things that do happen.
Side by side for 9th now, we've got the 2 BMWs. Whoa, as Simranjit Thakur absolutely launches across the curbs and passes Adriano Matson, but they're still side by side. And also in that is Noel Attard. And I don't know if he's actually on the same lap as them, because he had an incident earlier on in this race. I think he might be on the same lap as them, actually. But anyway, very, very close racing between the 2 BMWs there, and it's Matson who comes out ahead of the 2. Oh, and off goes. Actually, is that okay? That was just me seeing things. But anyway, the still.
Actually, it's not only you, so it's 2 here. So
okay. Is Attard on the same lap as these 2? He is. So this is Attard actually getting past both of them now, past both of the BMWs. So
it's good to know. Sorry to interrupt. That Noel Attard, it's actually under investigation by the steward.
Okay. So Noel Attard under investigation by the steward. Is that for track limits or?
No, actually, he was hitting too many times the car he was trying to overtake.
Right, that makes sense. Now, I believe we are on the final lap of the race here. Just heading through. Actually, I don't know if that's 14 laps completed or whether we're on the 14th lap. I think that is 14 laps completed. So yeah, we are on the final lap here. And Bernard Vella is just heading down towards the final corner. He's got a 6.8 second gap, but that does not tell the full story. He was absolutely charging against Keith Camilleri and had a great battle with them, until unfortunately Keith Camilleri lost out due to a problem with his brakes. And Bernard Vella is going to exit the final corner. He's going to head down towards the finish line, and he wins it. So Bernard Vella wins the opening of the 2 races here, followed by Terence Grech, who actually pulled the gap back to less than 5 seconds in the end, but still pretty much dominated race in the end from Bernard Vella, but it wasn't dominated the whole way through because Keith Camilleri was a great challenger until his accident. Ryan Mangian is going to cross the line in 3rd. He wasn't expecting that. Alessandro Grech is going to come home in 5th, but he has a 10-second penalty. But will anyone be able to knock him off that spot? Menno Klont, he's done a great job for just his second race in Assetto Corsa. Yes! Oh my word! He's pulled the move! He's pulled the move by 1,000th of a second! So Menno Klont gets 4th place by 1,000th of a second from Alessandro Grech, who was penalised 10 seconds. And Klont just pulls it to 9.999 seconds behind Alessandro Grech, and that gives him 4th place. That could not have been closer. Sandro Zara now is in 6th. He's just crossed the line. Daniele Venturino has not crossed the line, so he's pulled into the pits, as has Keith Camilleri. So something's happened there. Why haven't they crossed the line? That's interesting, but okay. Did they? I think they were a lap down actually after their pit stop. So Venturino, Camilleri, Attard, Taka are the next few. I'm just watching Attard. Yeah, Attard's 7th. So Venturino and Camilleri have pitted. Oh, I see what they're doing. What they're trying to do here is drop down the order so that they get a better starting position for the reverse grid. Now that's ingenious, very cheeky, but that's absolutely ingenious from the 2 of those, who could have had a better race if it hadn't been for accident. I don't know about Venturino, but Camilleri definitely. So across the line there came Attard, Taka, Matson, and Daniel Samic has crossed the line in 12th and a lap down. Unfortunately, we had retirements in Omar Barber and Jason Muscat. And now Camilleri and Venturino have to either retire from the race, which I think they've both done or are both going to do, or they have to get out of the pits and cross the line. But I believe that's the end of it. That's quite a sneaky tactic, actually, and I'm sort of surprised I didn't realise that someone was going to attempt to do that. But no points are up for grabs here, so obviously they had nothing to lose. And Venturino and Camilleri both using the pit lane to gain positions for the start of race 2. So that's very interesting. But anyway, the results of race 1 were Bernard Vella, Terence Grech, Ryan Mangian, Alessandro Grech, Menno Klont. Oh no, Menno Klont's ahead of Alessandro Grech, of course, by 1,000th of a second. Sandro Zara, Noel Attard, Simranjit Taka, Adriano Matson, Daniele Venturino, Keith Camilleri, Daniel Samit, and then we have the retirements in Omar Barber and Jason Muscat. So that was race 1, and it has come to an end. We are now waiting for race 2. So I'm going to have a quick break as I have a quick drink before race 2, and that we'll be heading to the grid for that for 15 seconds, or in 15 seconds. Okay, make that 47 seconds. That was just the countdown to the end of the timer of the last race, and that does make the results final, barring any late any penalties. Of course, I know that Noel Attard was under investigation. He finished 7th in the end, so he might well drop through the order with a penalty. But we'll have to see. Of course, Alessandro Grech has dropped through the order, or dropped 1 place due to a penalty. Just think about it though. If Alessandro Grech had been 2,000 or even 1,000th of a second faster in the race than he was, he would have been in 4th position. And to be honest, he's probably kicking himself for losing that position there, because it was just so close. Now, we're just getting the countdown to the race. We're on the grid, and the grid order with the reverse grid will be Daniel Samut starting from the front, followed by Adriano Matson, Simraji Taka, Noel Attard, Sandro Zara, Menno Klont, Terence Gresh, Ryan Manchian, Terence Grech. Oh yeah, Alessandro Grech is the first Grech I said. And then Terence Grech is 9th, followed by Bernard Vella, Daniele Venturino, Keith Camilleri, and Omar Barber. Now, Venturino and Camilleri, and then Muscat is 14th. So it looks as if the top 10 were reversed, the order of the top 10, and that has actually backfired on Camilleri and Venturino, because they are now having to start further back than the other ways would. Here come the lights. And the race here is underway. So we are underway here at Monza for the second of the two races, and it's a good start from Samut, who leads down into turn 1 ahead of another Porsche, the Porsche of Adriano. No, oh, who's that in second? That will be Sandro Zara. So Sandro Zara has made a cracking start and has moved himself up into second place ahead of Adriano Matson in third. So it's Samut, Zara, Matson, and side by side behind them, a Ferrari. That will be Ryan Mangian, also with a good start, and Simranjit Taka. Mangian is on the inside here, and he gets through. So Mangian is up into 4th position now, but it's Daniel Samut leading this race. Sandro Zara, though, up 3 positions there, from 5th to 2nd at the start of this race, as we head through the Les Mis.
It's Joshua. It's also good to note that obviously the 10-second penalty of Alessandro Grech on the first race will be added, obviously following all the races, because we cannot add it during the race.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. Of course, he was classified in the actual order as 4th, but that is going to change, of course, because it was a 10-second penalty, and he lost. Of course, he lost 10 seconds there, and therefore lost a position. Anyway, 3rd place under hot contention or 4th place rather, between Matson and Taka. They started 2nd and 3rd. Also behind them and coming through is a Ferrari, and that's another Ferrari there. Anyway, the order after lap 1 is Daniel Samut, Sandro Zara, Ryan Manchian, Terence Grech, and Adriano Matson. Those are the top guys, and the gap for the lead is almost 2 seconds. Now, but move on for 3rd. Oh, spin! They've made contact. So Manchian goes around as I believe he made contact with the BMW of Terence Grech, and unfortunately, although he's got going again, and has only lost 1 position. So he spun it across the grass and only lost 1 position. So that was very good driving from Ryan Manchian there, as Daniele Venturino has got past him now, actually. So Venturino also has got through, and it's a good day for Ferraris, because Bernard Vella is already up into 8th. He's right behind them here.
So also to note, Joshua, sorry for interrupting, that even in this race now, Noel Attard is under investigation.
Okay, thanks for that. Into the pits after the first lap of this race, unfortunately, in fact, Menno Klont and Alessandro Grech. So there's been some sort of incident at the start here, and Klont and Grech have pitted, possibly out of the race. Now, I hope not, but I don't see much work going on those cars. So unfortunately, I'm going to assume that both of those guys are out of the race. Which is, oh, spin! Ryan Manchian's gone around. So Manchian goes around from right up the head of the order. He was running 4th, and Manchian unfortunately has hit the wall as well. I can only hope his suspension's okay. It looks like crabbing slightly, not much though, so he should get away with that as far as damage is concerned. But Manchian unfortunately has lost control of the car coming out of the Ascari chicane and has hit the barrier there, and the gap for the lead has absolutely lengthened. It's like someone stretched out an accordion there. Sandro Zara has dropped 3 seconds behind Daniel Samic, who's putting in a cracking performance at the start of this race. Now, the order after that chaotic lap was Samic, Zara, Terence Gresh, Bernard Vella, and Daniele Venturino. And I should point out, the top 9 drivers are Maltese. So Maltese are having a cracking time in this race, as Venturino is getting passed by Muscat now. So Muscat is going around the outside of Daniele Venturino at Curva Grande. Keith Camilleri also getting involved in that, but he's going to have the inside for the chicane, and indeed Muscat gets past there. And Camilleri now is going side by side with Venturino, going around the outside, and that's a good move if he can make it stick. And does he? Runs it over the curb, but he does make it stick. So Venturino has to settle behind Keith Camilleri there, and Camilleri gets the place done. But Venturino definitely not done with him, and he's attacking again. Just by them, in fact, is the other Ferrari of Omar Barbara. As Bernard Vella, meanwhile, race 1 winner, has made it up to 4th position already, and is actually attacking 3rd. So 3rd is coming under contention. 2nd, rather, is coming under. Vella rather, also gets past Zara. So Zara loses 2 positions there. But Zara might well try to come back at Vella here. Does he? He goes to the inside, and he might well get this back initially here. So let's see what Zara can do. He's going for the final podium position in 3rd, and he gets through. So Zara back up into 3rd position here, ahead of Bernard Vella, our race 1 winner. Now through the through Curva Grande we come again. Just checking to see if we've lost anyone else from the order. I believe it is still just Grech and Klont. Indeed it is. So still 12 cars running here. I was expecting a bigger entry. I believe we had 20 spots open on the entry list. I knew that 2 weren't going to be filled before this, but it appears that a few drivers have not been able to actually make the event. Meanwhile, the gap for 3rd is less, it's very close. It's very, very close. Can't quite see the actual gap, but Zara is definitely under attack again from Vella, and this could all change here on this lap as we head down towards the Ascari chicane. Indeed, Vella's going to take a look to the inside. We don't normally see moves here, but if Vella can pull it off here, then all the better, but he doesn't quite, and he's going to have to settle in behind Sandro Zara for now. But Vella definitely getting close. Also, there's an attack going on behind them as well. But look at Vella launching to the inside of Zara, down into the Parabolica at the inside. Does he get it slowed in time? He does indeed, and Vella is back up into 3rd. However, we are coming around to the bit where Zara pulled the move on Vella last time around. So if Zara can pull the same move again, he might well be able to get himself back up into 3rd position and the final podium spot. He's going to the inside. Vella defends well, puts his car where he needs to, but not quite, because Zara is still going to have the road. And actually, Vella did very well not to run into the back of him there, but Zara is back ahead, and Zara is very good at that section of track. Outbreaks Vella, but Vella is going to want to get past him as quickly as he can, because as no respect to Zara, but Vella is lapping quicker than Zara consistently, and to be honest, Vella doesn't really stand that much chance of catching the leaders while he's battling with Zara. As it all kicks off, we have a BMW running wide, Jason Muscat, and look at Keith Camilleri, past both of them. That's a brilliant move from Keith Camilleri, who capitalises on the battling, and that's what I was saying just now, as I was saying that all the time that these two are battling is another opportunity for time to just slip straight past them, and now it slipped straight past them in the form of Keith Camilleri. Vela is going to the inside of Zara, and I believe he's going to get through this time. He does. So Vela back up into 4th position, but he's lost a place to Keith Camilleri. There's been a spin, actually, at the chicane there, and who was that? It was Jason Muscat. So Muscat, who was 5th at the top of this lap, has unfortunately spun at the chicane. I believe he kept it out of the wall, though. And let's see what the order is after that lap, because we've had, of course, a big shuffle on that particular lap. So it's Samut, followed by Grech, Camilleri, Vela, and Venturino. Those are the top 5. And Sandro Zara is not actually. In fact, is he slowing? Or he's certainly lost quite a few positions. He's down into 10th. There's definitely something wrong with Sandro Zara's car here. I wonder whether he had some sort of accident. But
Yes, he had a spin actually earlier on.
He had a spin. Okay, thanks. I didn't see that happen. Maybe he did he get involved in Jason Muscat's accident? Did you know?
Yes, actually, yes. And he spun. They were obviously battling there, but obviously it was a race incident when he spun.
Okay, so Muscat and Zara unfortunately coming together, and unfortunately dropping down into 9th and 10th positions. Still, we have 12 cars running, though. Of course, we lost 2 cars on the very first lap of the race, but the other 12 cars are still running here. And the closest battle, I believe, is the one for 3rd, which again is between Camilleri and Vela, as it was in race 1. But in race 1, it was for the lead. Now it's for 3rd position. Might well turn into the lead later, though, because these 2 guys are the quickest guys on the track, with their last laps, or their quickest laps of the race, rather, eclipsing everyone else's. And Bernard Vela has just gone fastest overall in the 2nd sector. So Vela is charging at Keith Camilleri here. In fact, you can see the differing line he takes through the final corner there to Keith Camilleri. You can tell by the body language of the car that Vela is on the attack, and Camilleri is basically a sitting duck here, as Vela also puts in a new personal best and a new race best in the 3rd sector. So Camilleri actually 0.3 of a second slower on that last lap. Bernard Vela, who is absolutely flying here with a very, very quick lap. It's the fastest lap of the race so far. So Bernard Vela absolutely going for it. He's setting qualifying times in the 1st sector. Or no, in all 3 sectors, rather. And that lap, to be honest, that lap probably would have put him about 4th or 5th in qualifying. And he's running race fuel. Of course, we've burnt off quite a lot of that race fuel by now. But still, although I tell you what, Keith Camilleri, 0.3 up on Vela in the 1st sector here. And Camilleri actually raced best in the 1st sector. So Camilleri is responding to the pressure now. What was the gap the last time through? It was just about half a second. So as they went past the start-finish straight last time through, it was just about half a second between them. And now Bernard Vela again sets a race best in the 2nd sector. Mistake from Keith Camilleri. He's had a bad chicane. Vela is going to be right on his rear end here, right in his slipstream. And will he launch an attack down into the final corner? He goes to the outside. This might actually be the ideal line. Although Camilleri keeps it on the inside, and there's no way that Vela can turn in with Camilleri there. And Camilleri parks it right on the racing line. But Vela's going to get the switch back. And if he can keep it here, he'll have the inside line for the next braking zone down at turn 1. And he is in an ideal position here. No, he isn't. Camilleri had the better run out of the corner. And now Vela is going to pop back to the outside. He's not going to have the inside. And doesn't really have the outside either. He hesitated, but Camilleri's off. So Camilleri made another mistake, bounced over the curb, and he's going to lose the position. So Camilleri went a bit deep into the 1st chicane there, and Vela is up into 3rd position, but Camilleri's going to come back at him. So Camilleri, back in the slipstream, pulls to the outside, down into the 1st chicane, and doesn't quite outbrake Bernard Vela. And Vela has made the place stick. So Vela up into third place. Also, we're about halfway through the race now, and the gap for the lead has come down to less than a second and a half. So Greg is catching Samut to the lead of this race, and that might well change later on. We'll see what Greg can do. Now, what nationality is Ryan Mangian? Because his flag is just the AC symbol.
He's actually Kate's cousin. He's Maltese.
He's Maltese as well.
Yeah.
That's the reason I ask, is because that makes the top 10 drivers all Maltese, and the bottom 4 drivers rather, the non-Maltese drivers. So this is working very, very well for Malta. I tell you what, for a series called Sim Racing Malta, Malta's doing very well here as one of the Ferraris cuts across the grass there. That would have been Daniele Venturino. So Venturino has cut across the grass at the Ascari chicane, but keeps 7th position. Oh my word! Oh my word! It's changed for the lead! There's contact! There's contact for the lead! And around they both go! That's absolutely disastrous for the lead there. I didn't even know they were getting close. The gap last time around was a second and a half. Then all of a sudden it was just a 10th of a second, and then they collided. So Greg and Samut have collided at turn 1, and I didn't exactly see how that happened because I didn't switch my camera to them in time. But Daniel Samut, rather, is leading the race. So Samut is still leading the race despite Greg's attack and despite the spin. But absolute drama here on lap 9 of the race as the two leaders have collided. My goodness. And it'll be interesting to see how much time Samut lost in that, actually. And how much time Bernard Vella, of course, has gained on him in that sector, because Vella, of course, is now the car behind in 2nd place. And, of course, that's... well, we also have a steward, of course. So, if... well, the accident, of course, will come under investigation of the steward, because it was significant contact and they both spun around. So, we'll see what the stewards say about that. Of course, I can't judge the incident myself or give any sort of opinion on it because I didn't see it as it happened, or I did, but I launched at it very, very late. It looked possibly like Greg kind of drifted over into Samut's line a bit under braking, but again, that's just from one glance and no replays, so don't take my word for it. Now, the gap for the lead is 1.7 seconds, Samut from Vella, and that might be just what Vella needs, because Vella is still the quickest guy on the track here according to his sector times. In fact, his 3rd sector was the fastest of the race so far. So Vella still charging. He's got ahead of Keith Camilleri, of course, and now he's released to chase down Daniel Samut, and that Daniel Samut rather, and that spin or that collision for the lead there might be just the motivation that he needs now. Not that Vella needs any more motivating motivation than he's already got, but Vella is definitely catching the leader here, especially with that last incident. Greg, incidentally, dropped to 4th on that lap, so Camilleri and Vella both got past him. So Samut kept the lead, but Vella and Camilleri both got past Greg. In fact, Greg spun it around again as he got going. I'm just going to check actually to see if there was see if there's been any suspension damage done to either car. Grex seems to be hanging slightly to the left, the steering that is, but possibly not dangerously at all. Oh, and I tell you what, as I've switched to Samut's view, he's got David Vella right in his rear wing. I don't believe he has damage, in his mirror rather, and Vella is going for it. So Vella takes a look for the lead of the race, and will Vella get a double win here? He's popped to the inside line and drives Samut right to the outside as he needs to do, and he takes the lead. So Vella takes the lead with the Parabolica on this, the 10th lap of the race, the 10th lap of 15, and Bernard Vella leads the race after lap 10. Daniel Samut is going back for the lead now. but not quite close enough. And he might well come under attack from Keith Camilleri in the other Porsche. In fact, he's made a slight mistake coming out of that corner, so this is going to be relatively easy for Camilleri, and Camilleri moves up to second. So, again, it's first and second for Vella and Camilleri, as it was last race. And Camilleri, of course, overtook Vella in the last race, but this race, of course, Vella overtook Camilleri, so it's Vella that has the upper hand here, and Vella who is charging. Oh, as we've had Attard and Venturino battling for 9th place down at the first chicane, and Attard, I believe, has got that. So Attard and Venturino, although Venturino's coming right back at him, so Venturino back up into 9th place there. And it's Venturino followed by Attard for 9th and 10th. As we head down towards the chicane. Another big slide from Noel Attard, who just spins up the rear tyres, and that's going to cost him some time and allow Venturino to get away ahead of him. So unfortunately for him, he's blown that one for now. Meanwhile, Daniel Samut, rather, I keep saying Danielle, has dropped behind Terence Grech. So Terence Grech now is up into 4th, ahead of Omar Barbet. So actually Samut's lost 2 positions. No, he's lost many positions there. So Samut has possibly had a spin or a big slide or something like that. Some sort of mistake.
Or whatever the case. He spun. No, actually he spun. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So Samut drops down a few positions. He's currently in 5th position. About a second and a half ahead of Ryan Mangian for 5th place. Now, the gap for the lead is coming down again. Now, I wasn't expecting it to, but it is coming down. The gap that time round was 1.3 seconds. However, we really don't have that much time remaining in this race. We've just completed lap 11. We're on lap 12 out of 15. So if Camilleri is going to launch a late race charge, it needs to be a good one for Camilleri to win this race. And Bernard Vella will be absolutely flying for his second win of the Thursday. Second win out of 2 attempts. Now that would set him up as a real contender for the Porsche Cup, should he enter it. And in fact, he set a race fastest second sector. So he's gone purple, as we say, in the second sector.
Also, actually, as you're saying, Bernard is also one of the drivers taking part in qualifications for the Porsche Cup.
Yeah, and with performances like this, he will definitely be a real contender. So look out for Bernard Vella. We're just completing the 13th lap of the race now. And it's still Vella from Camilleri, from Grech, Barber, Samut, Mangian, Muscat, Zara, Venturino, Attard. And then our final 2 drivers still in the race are Matson and Taka. Actually running together on the road, those 2 are. But it's all about the Maltese drivers. Oh, Camilleri's gone straight on. So Camilleri went straight on at the first chicane there, I believe. And that's going to cost him some time because he's had to back out of that so as not to gain an advantage. Probably had to go through the polystyrene boards. But Camilleri actually sets a very normal first sector time. So I believe he went straight on there. From what I saw, he was definitely taking a weird line onto Curva Grande. But anyway, possibly just timed his braking, braking in the runoff area so that he didn't lose time to Vella, but didn't gain time either, which technically means he can't really be penalised for it. Oh, off goes Grech. So Grech puts 2 wheels in the gravel, and that's going to lose him a lot of momentum. Is Omar Barber going to get through for 3rd position here? And he does, very easily, because Grech dipped 2 wheels into the gravel at the second Lesmo, and he's lost that position. So Grech, unfortunately for him, has has been through the gravel and has dropped to 4th position here. But he's got a much better run out of the Ascari chicane here. And he's going right back for Barbara here. For Omar Barbara. And to the inside of Parabolica might be where he's forced to go. Will he pull out at the last moment? No, he's not going to be close enough that time around. As we head almost onto the final lap of the race. We're on the penultimate lap. With these two guys still side by side for 3rd. So Grech has the inside line heading down towards turn 1. And Barbara has the outside line. But the inside line is much more favourable than the outside line here. And Grech keeps the place. So Grech 5th, 3rd rather. I don't know why I said 5th. Yeah, so Grech 3rd, Barbara 4th, just as it was last lap. But they swapped twice on the last lap. And will Barbara be able to have another attempt at Grech? Oh, there's contact! He outbraked himself down into the 2nd chicane there. Barbara did, and ran into the back of Terence Grech. Luckily, neither of them had an accident or a spin. But that could have been a very hairy moment there. It's very easy to do. Run into the back of the car ahead of you, because often you just misjudge your braking point, or sometimes you just lose the downforce from your car, and that can really throw you off sometimes. And that appears to have been what just happened. Down towards the Ascari chicane. This is where Grech got the better run than Barbara last time round, and it looks as if he's going to do the same thing again. So maybe Barbara's car not quite set up right for that section of track, or maybe Barbara just doesn't like that section of track as much as the rest of it. But anyway, Barbara still back in the slipstream, as we've had a Ferrari going very wayward in the background. That was Ryan Mangian, who might well get passed by Jason Muscat here, and indeed Muscat does get up into 6th position. We're on the final lap of the race now. The leaders separated now by 4.6 seconds, so Vela has definitely got away from Camilleri here. And then Grech is 3rd, followed by Barbara and Samid. Jason Muscat did indeed get out of the very slidey Ryan Mangian on that lap. Now, as we're on the final lap, we're just heading up through the 2 Lesmos, and Bernard Vella has absolutely extended the gap to Keith Camilleri. He doesn't want any sort of a risk of being demoted on the final lap here. And Vella has absolutely flown this race. He holds the fastest lap of the race by 0.3 of a second here. And Vella has been utterly dominant all Thursday. Put in pole, fastest lap in practice, winner of race 1, and he's going to win race 2 as well if he can get the final corner right without a spin. But this is going to be 4 out of 4 in terms of the sessions here for Bernard Vella, and an absolutely amazing drive all Thursday. He's just exiting the final corner now, and Bernard Vella is going to drive his way down to the timing line, and he wins it. So Bernard Vella wins both races here in an absolutely amazing performance. Keith Camilleri is 2nd. Terence Grech is going to hold on just to 3rd position from Omar Barbara, who appears to be slipstreaming him quite vigorously here. But Grech is going to hold on to 3rd. Barbara is 4th. Daniel Samit is going to cross the line in 5th position after leading the race for so long and starting on pole position. Jason Muscat is going to come through in 6th. Ryan Mangian is going to come through in 7th. Sandro Zara is going to come through in 8th position when he crosses the line now. Daniele Venturino is going to cross the line ahead, or just ahead, of Noel Attard in a couple of seconds now. They are 9th and 10th, and the final Maltese drivers. Of course, Maltese drivers 1st to 10th. which is utterly amazing, seeing as we had 4 other drivers in the race, and they were the bottom 4 in this particular race. And it's actually going to be a race to the finish between these 2 other drivers remaining, actually, Adriano Matson and Simranjit Thakur, as Matson actually feels the need to go slightly defensive there down into Parabolica. And that might set him up badly for the exit, actually, but we don't have much of a straight left because the start-finish line is relatively early in the straight. So Matson is going to claim 11th, followed by Thakur in 12th, and then we had 2 DNFs in Alessandro Grech and Menno Klont. So, a brilliant performance all Thursday from Bernard Vella, who has won this race, followed by Keith Camilleri, Terence Grech, Omar Barbara, Daniel Samit, Jason Muscat, Ryan Manchin, Sandro Zara, Daniele Venturino, Noel Attard, who of course is still under investigation, Adriano Matson, Simranjit Thakur.
So Joshua, actually we have the result on the investigation of Noel Attard. He's gonna get a 10-second penalty for both races. For obviously the for cutting on. There was also some 10-second penalty for cutting on for Keith Camilleri. And
oh, now that really made my heart race then, because I saw that Keith Camilleri has been given a 10-second penalty for cutting, but that doesn't drop him any places because he was over 10 seconds ahead of Terence Grech. So Keith Camilleri did cut the chicane. I expected he did, but he but he doesn't lose a place from that. So the order stays the same.
Yeah, that's right. It seems it's gonna stay the same. So now actually what we're gonna do is gonna invite the drivers for a short chat following this race. So we're gonna invite Bernard Vella, Keith Camilleri, and Terence Grech. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Right, so we're just waiting for the drivers to come in. We're just rounding them up, and they'll be in a second. Very interesting set of races that was. Right, who have we got here?
We've got Terence Grech.
Terence. So you were third in race 2 actually. So you did you did well there. Unfortunate mistake towards the end of the race, but anyway, talk us through how it went for you, both races. By the way, you're on mute if you're trying to speak here. Okay, obviously. Okay.
Good. He's setting up his push to talk. That's why.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. So we're just going to give him a minute. I was wondering why I couldn't hear anything. It has happened in the past that I've just forgotten to turn on my sound during these interviews, but hopefully we can get Terence Grech in a minute. Oh, do we have Keith Camilleri here?
All muted.
Yeah, we have them here with us.
Okay, I think we should start with Keith Camilleri then, seeing as Terence Grech is just setting something up. So, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. You can start with Keith.
Okay, so Keith, very quick, very quick. Top Porsche and second in race 2. What happened in race 1? It looked as if you were going to win it. You were ahead of Bernard, and then all of a sudden you weren't.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Porsche, the heavier is better. So while the fuel was getting wasted and the car was getting lighter, and on the curbs, it was totally a mess. And I made a mistake, and I lost the car, unfortunately, in the last 2 laps. And that was it for the first race.
That's unfortunate, but you definitely brought it back in the second race, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried my best in the second race, but again, unfortunately, I had too much damage to keep up the pace. But overall, it was much better than the first race.
Yeah, well, second, definitely nothing to be sniffed at. Especially seeing as you also won in a very touring carish BTCC car in the last test event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know if you're going to enter the main series, or well, I suppose we're still in qualifications, but
Yeah,
what
I
do you
hope
think the chance of
I
there?
hope I will qualify, but I'm doing my best. After this race, now we put our heads on the Porsche Cup. So let's see.
Jolly good. Thanks for that. Oh, now we have a Terence Gresh. Terence, can you hear
Yeah.
us?
Yeah.
Jolly good. So, you heard my questions just now. Third in race 2, but anyway, we had a race 1 as well. Talk us through both of those, if you don't mind.
Yeah, unfortunately, I still the car wasn't that great for me. I still was struggling with the brakes, unfortunately. But at least the race pace was, let's say, not bad. But yeah, it was okay.
Jolly good, and good battle with Omar Bar towards the end of race 2 there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still not sure about it, but I think I didn't let him that much space, and yeah, I just hit from the rear, and yeah, I just lost the car. Unfortunately, I lost maybe the win over there, but yeah, third place still not bad, but yeah, like everyone wanna win, so yeah, we'll see.
Oh, so you had an incident. I don't think we saw that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've just hit each other in the main straight for the first place there.
Oh yes, what am I talking about? We did see that one. That was I was confused because I was talking about with Omar Barbara. That was with Daniel Samut, wasn't it? Yeah, Samut.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm still not sure about it.
Yeah, it was with Samut. So you're saying you feel like you didn't leave enough space and that you were to blame?
Maybe. I'm still not sure about it. I still need to see the replay, to be honest. Just need to make sure. But yeah, maybe I could leave him with much space. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for that. Oh, I tell you who else we've got in this call here. We have Bernard Vella, our winner of both races. Bernard, you're unstoppable. Talk us through that.
Well, in the first race, I got off clean of the start. Then I had Keith on my back, and I couldn't pull away. Then, as he overtook me, I kept on the pressure, and then I just kept it consistent. And then, well, that was the race basically, the first one.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, first race, basically a lights to flag, although, of course, under attack from Keith Camilleri for a lot of it. But race 2, you really had to fight for, didn't you? Coming through from pretty much the back.
Yeah, well, I started at 10th place, and at the start there was a lot of contact, and I nearly got hit from behind. I had an all yellow car with a lot of damage, but I was lucky that I managed to get through with less damage than I imagined.
So, what was that at the end of the first race when you pulled into the pits before taking the checkered flag? Did you have an accident, or were you trying to get a better place for the reverse grid?
What? Wait. Did I pull in before the checkered flag?
Yeah, you didn't take the checkered flag. You lost about 3 positions.
Are you sure about that? Because it said Bernard Vella won the race.
According to my simulator, you lost about 3 positions at the end by pulling into the
No,
pits.
I'm sure I took the checkered flag at both.
Oh, no, it wasn't you, was it? I was Keith Camilleri. Sorry, not you.
Okay,
you won
because for a second I was panicking.
my mind is elsewhere. Sorry, Keith Camilleri.
Yeah, I did what?
Sorry, you pulled into the pits before the checkered flag in race 1. Was that because you had an incident, or were you or were you trying to get a better position for the reverse grid?
No, it's the other way around. I exit the race to start from the back with the others, not to just start from the front and run away easily.
So you did it out of courtesy.
Yep.
Okay, that's to be honest, that's something I've never heard from a driver before. That's
Yeah,
wow,
I didn't want to just start in the front and win like that.
Okay, well, very, very, very nice of you. Anyway,
Thank you for that.
okay, so I believe that is all of the drivers we have. Is that right, or do we have some more waiting, Adrian?
Yeah, sure. Now, obviously, enough will get through, and obviously, adjust the timings with the penalties that were decided by the steward of the race. As we said, we had penalties for Alessandro Grech in the first race, and the 2 penalties also for Noel Attard, 1 in each race. And unfortunately, we need to also excuse ourselves with our viewers on the live stream because we had some problems with internet. We got cut 3 times. Obviously, we're gonna promise that for next time we're gonna work for it, work about it so that we don't have this cuts from the internet.
Yeah, apologies for that, but I believe with that will be pretty much the end of the broadcast anyway. So
Yeah,
thank you.
right.
Jolly good.
I would like to thank you for perfect commentary today. As usual, I would like to thank all our sponsors, which is Sim News TV, Porsche, Continental Cars Limited, Melita, Textor Distribution, Extreme Power Sport, Genesis, Usingveld, Fanatec, and Sparko. Thanks to them, obviously, all of this is happening.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, we want to thank you for watching this race. Of course, it is only a practice race, but still, we're grateful for all of the viewers online and on the television. So, well, we'll see you in the next one, I suppose. So, I've been Joshua Jones. I've been joined by Adrian Figallo, and we've had interviews at the end from Bernard Vella, Keith Camilleri, and Terence Grech. And that, I believe, will be it for the day. So, see you next time.